Welcome to the Dental 18 podcast. We're your hosts, Kiera
and Dr. Mark Costas.
Mark and I had this crazy idea that maybe we could combine a dentist and a team member's perspective because let's face it, dentistry can be a challenging profession with those two perspectives. And Dental 18 podcast was created.
I'm a practicing dentist, a multiple practice owner, a dental performance coach, and the founder of the Dental Success Institute.
I've been a dental assistant, treatment coordinator, scheduler, biller, office manager, current practice owner, and international dental consultant. Mark and I don't just understand you, we are you.
Our goal is to positively impact the world of dentistry by sharing our lessons learned from the road in hundreds of dental offices.
Two perspectives, one mission, to help dental professionals reach their full potential. Welcome to the Dental 18 podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Dentalpreneur Podcast, and maybe the Dental 18 Podcast. Depends on which direction this goes. I'm here with my good friend Kiera Dent, and we are on I-something.
I legit don't know, and I'm driving.
Yeah, Kiera is driving. Carcast. We are leaving Lexington, Kentucky on the way to Louisville, Kentucky. I just got off stage at the Life and Dentistry Conference.
And he did fantastic. We'll just do a massive plug shout out right there.
Oh, thank you, Kiera. I just love the Life and Dentistry boys. It was a great conference. Got to hang out with my buddy, Bruce Baird, and Dr. Mike Frymouth, and Dr. David Maloli, and his lovely wife, Kara, and their son, Bennett, and Kiera Dent. It was a great all-around weekend. Now, Kiera.
Yes.
It is time to refocus, because the summit is in 4 days.
Dun, 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 dun. It's going to be
mackerel.
awesome.
Holy mackerel.
Who are we? We're out in Kentucky, and then we go to Summit. It's fantastic. This is how you should always live your life. Always.
Yeah, here's how it went for me. Vegas, straight to Cabo. Cabo, home for 1 day. Home to Lexington, Kentucky. Lexington, Kentucky to back down to Scottsdale for the summit. That is some march.
That is a good one. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, craziness. All good, though.
That is all good. I did not pull as crazy. I actually got sick, so I was home for 2 weeks. So that's like my crazy of actually being home for that long. So, I only did New York and then Kentucky, and I'm headed home and to Utah, then to Summit. So
that's it, huh?
That's it. No big deal. But this is a monumental moment, Mark. I didn't tell you. I'm telling you now. In 2019, coming into Kentucky, I hit 25 states this year without even trying. So I'm up to 25 already.
In 2019?
Yeah.
We're in March still, right?
I do. Yep, exactly. Which is why I'm like, 50% of the way there, and it's only March.
25 states.
25.
Goodness
without
gracious.
Trying. I've been doing, those are just actual clients and no trying. So.
Oh, my goodness. That's so much travel. Yeah, I feel you, man. It's been a heavy travel year. I had it in my head that it was going to be a light travel year.
Same.
But I've been just everywhere this year. It's crazy. But I don't want to put out into the universe that I'm complaining at all.
No way.
I feel
love it.
Super blessed that we have all this opportunity. But it's just like, wow, it's a lot of miles.
But hey, it's all right. We get you're flying Southwest with me, so you're going to get the peanut status style, and it's going to be great.
Oh, no. Yeah, the only direct flight into Louisville from Phoenix was on Southwest, so I had to give up my privileges on American. Not that I do not love American by any stretch, but they have the lounge.
I know. And you have a big thing with the lounge. I just barely make my flights like I was telling you yesterday. I mean, it was like
you're like, I don't need to lounge. I need to run through the airport. There's no lounging happening.
There is no lounging. I called Mark real panicky when I'm leaving New York. He's like, "Are you going to make it?" And I said, "So I'm an hour away. My flight leaves in 1 hour and 10 minutes, and I'm supposed to get there at 5:30 if I'm lucky." That
was crazy. That was really
nuts.
Close.
I ran real fast. Heels off, tennies on, and off I went. So
nice.
And I made it. But anyway.
Very nice. So you rolled in at like midnight. I was ready to tap out.
But it's a good thing you didn't. You got to learn about Skittles. So we'll save that for another time.
DJ Skittles in the house. Yeah. Okay. So tell me what your big takeaways were from this weekend. You were doing a whole lot of networking. You saw a lot of our friends and you got to meet a lot of people that you knew virtually, but got to meet in person this weekend. So tell me your impressions of this weekend.
So first and foremost, I feel like the guys who put on the event, everybody there, they're stand-up people. They're the kindest, most thoughtful, intentional.
So nice.
Just good humans. And I think I was reminded again, our clients are fantastic in DSI, and it makes me really happy to see that the future of dentistry is very bright. The people that are coming out that will be taking the places of clients at some point are just really, really good people. And I think my biggest takeaway was just to watch. I love to learn and to see the students and how far along the path they are first and second year into dental school.
It's crazy. Like Lewis is doing a startup.
Yeah.
And he's doing like $150,000 a month in production. It's like crazy.
It makes me happy because they're smart and I feel like the generations that are coming out, that was my takeaway of just their hunger and their thirst for knowledge. But in addition to that, I felt like I realized, I was talking to a friend, and just to hear his story and to look at this person who's young, who's in school.
D2, correct?
Correct. D2, getting ready to take boards. And to see where his life is and the drive he has, it's not that they just sit there and hope that success falls into their lap, but they're actively going after what they want, preparing themselves. And I think that just speaks volumes of, if that's the life you want to have, it's there. Are you willing to put in the hustle and the hard work to get there, but in a really doable way and not sacrificing your lifestyle at the same time? Yeah,
totally. Like, Grady Gores, he was on the podcast earlier, and friend, they both kind of cyber stalked me. They both kind of just decided that they were going to meet me, and they were very intentional, and they wrote really, really great letters, and they stood out in my mind. And Grady became my intern last year, worked totally for free, moved to Arizona for the whole summer at his expense, basically paid me to work for me. And and now he is so ridiculously well connected. Like, he knows every influencer because he comes around. Like,
right.
I've introduced him to pretty much everybody I know. He was at the summit last year, and I introduced him to everybody. He's made these ridiculous contacts, as has friend.
Right.
So it's like, I didn't even have that kind of hustle when I was a dental student. I didn't know that you could meet like influencers. I didn't know that I could like sacrifice clinic days and go to live conferences and get advanced continuing education. These guys are super, super forward thinking, and all the life and dentistry guys are the same way. They had a podcast before they graduated from dental school, and now their podcast is kind of a big deal, and they have these live events, and geez, man, it's fun to watch. It really is.
And like you and I were chatting last night about how we weren't those people. In college, believe it or not, I was a reasonably shy person. I knew my core crew of people, but beyond that, I didn't usually reach out in classes, and I didn't, put myself out there. And I think, like you pointed out to me yesterday, with just a little bit of intentionality, you can get so much in life if you want it.
Yeah.
How hard is it for them to write a letter to you and stand out and say, hey, but they realize, Mark, that if they can connect with you and learn from you, and it's not even, I think, for networking purposes of just wanting to network with you. I think they genuinely want to learn from you, and they're forward thinking enough to reach out and to learn from those who are willing to give the information to them, and they just soak it all in like sponges and become these incredible doctors and businessmen. And it makes me really, really happy for the future of our profession. Yeah,
for sure too. Like we had dinner the first night, Wednesday night, you missed it, Kiera, when with a friend and his student dental business club at University of Kentucky. And they were asking such insightful questions of me, like really sophisticated questions, like about overhead and expense percentages and taxes and the benefits of practice ownership versus associateships, like not rookie questions. Like, they have a really nice base, and some of these are D1s.
Yeah.
So I was clueless when I was in dental school when it came to dental business. So they realize that the stakes are high for them because student loans are what they are nowadays. Right. They have to come out of the gates like with some sort of base knowledge and, turn that crank as fast as possible. They don't have any time to mess around. No, they don't. But I'm just impressed. And I think breaking it down of what I'm often just inspired by sometimes people listen to the podcast and they think oh, there's absolutely no way that I could ever learn that, or gosh, they talk about this, but there's no way to apply it. These people, these students that we were interacting with this weekend,
they do. They find the way, the things that they can learn right now, take it, absorb it, and make it part of their own. So that way they're so much further ahead. It's not like, well, let me get into the dental office and make the mistakes. It's, hey, let me put this together. Let me figure it out. And then Mark and Kiera, can you poke the holes in what we're missing and teach us what we're missing? So when we get into practice, they're already, I would say, 1 to 5 years ahead of a lot of practices that are out there right now.
Yeah. Yeah, so, that's so true. I totally agree with you. I'm gonna divert the conversation for a second here because we got to do something really fun today. Well, we were trying to pay attention, but you and I were working on our PowerPoint that Kaylee was so nice to put together.
Gosh, that Kaylee. Yeah, she was a good hire.
She's pretty incredible. She's pretty good with the PowerPoint skills, the ninja PowerPoint skills.
She's great with everything. She put that together in one day for us, Mark, while you and I were both flying. Yeah. Kaylee was on it, so.
Yeah, thanks, Kaylee.
Thank you.
So you and I, on day 2 after lunch, are going to be sharing the main stage.
This is a big deal.
By the way, we were well over 600 people at the summit. Kiera, did you know that?
Oh, it's okay. Ashley texted me and said, "Are you nervous?" And I said, "It's just like speaking to a big Mormon church." That's what I have to keep telling myself. I've been doing that my whole life.
Times. You've probably spoken in front of 600 people plus many times.
I can't say 600. I don't think I've ever been at a Mormon church of 600, but I just keep pretending it's like the same thing.
Yeah,
That's impressive though, Mark. I'm really, really happy for you.
Oh, thank you. I had this dream because 2 years ago, we had the summit in San Diego.
Right. That was my first one, Mark.
That was?
That was my very first summit. I didn't even know what summit was. That's a true confession right there.
That's crazy. And so I think we had like 400 people signed up or something, or 375 or something. We had 50 people show up and pay at the door.
That's amazing.
Like, I was like, oh my God. Like, we didn't have enough food. We didn't have enough chairs for lunch. We didn't have enough chairs in the lecture hall. It was crazy. So like, I had this dream last night that we actually had 50 people show up, extra people show up. We literally will not have any room if we get 50 people showing up.
So what Mark's saying is, if you want to come, you better look to see if you can get a ticket right now. Just no pressure. Yeah. There won't be any door tickets.
Oh gosh, it's crazy.
That's awesome.
Anyway, I want to talk about what our topic is going to be about. So not everybody, obviously listening to my voice right now and Kiera's voice, are going to be able to attend the summit. You and I were brainstorming about what would be the most impactful topic that you and I could share the stage and talk about. And we decided that it is hiring, onboarding, and firing. That is a topic that so many people struggle with. The whole human resources topic is it's difficult. It's difficult to recruit the best hires, to screen them, and then once you hire them, to onboard them correctly with the right 30, 60, 90-day expectations. All of that stuff is a little bit tricky. I think. It is. So tell me about, okay, so I'm going to take it just piece by piece here, because obviously this is going to be an hour-long formal presentation with slides and everything at the summit, but let's just talk through it a little bit.
Well, and first of all, I'm going to say I love, because Mark, you came up with the title of, and of course we're plugging on Dental A-Team right now, but it's creating the Dental A-Team. And we realized that to create the Dental A-Team, these are the core pieces. Mark and I chatted about this for a while of, in order to create the Dental A-Team, what do you need to do? Like, what is the most impactful thing to create a Dental A-Team? And we believe it's the hiring, firing, and onboarding processes that will get you closest to having that Dental A-Team the fastest way.
Yeah. So let's think about the steps then. So you have a vacancy. You determine that you either have to fill a vacancy in your existing staff, or you're creating a new position, whatever it happens to be. So you decide that you need somebody. Mm-hmm. Like, when you are in the recruitment process and you're placing that ad, first of all, where do we place them, and what do we do as far as wording and writing copy that makes that ad stand out?
I love this part, because I take it a step back from that of, first, Mark, I love that you have everybody work on their core values, and you need to know what the core values are of your company, because otherwise you're just fishing for any fish that's going to come along. You're going to just go after whatever comes your way instead of being real intentional behind who you're looking for. So getting a clear picture of your core values, because that's a huge weeding process that saves a ton of time. If you'll just take a couple minutes, an hour, a day, whatever you need to come up with those core values, and then you write an ad specifically for who you're looking for. Don't be generic. I always say it's like dating and throwing out fishing bait. Like, who are you trying to attract? and make sure that your bait that you're using, that ad that you're writing, is written to that person, because that person will apply. And I can say this over and over and over again. We are hiring consultants right now. We're hiring schedulers for the companies as they grow. You're hiring, Mark. I know you're hiring a regional. Like, we're using these day in and day out. And I will tell you, if you write a really, really good ad, that's the first step. And then where to place it next is, my favorite places are Indeed and Craigslist. And you can do some targeted Facebook as well. Those have been the 3 most popular. And that's for associates, office managers, regionals, you name it, any position. Those tend to be the most popular places that I've found to place ads.
Okay, so when you're writing the ads, like, what does the length look like? Is it like paragraph length? Is it 2 sentences? Like, what's the headline sound like? So just give me like a standard ad for, say, like an office manager.
Sure.
What would that sound like? And it doesn't have to be, super clean. I'm kind of putting you on the spot here, but
that's okay.
Just kind of the idea.
Yeah. Well, like you told me with podcasts, and I'm going to maybe share a secret you don't want me to share, but you told me, Kiera, make sure you write really sexy titles when you start writing your podcast titles for the Dental A team, because that's what people will click on.
Yep.
So same thing with your ad. Make sure it's a really good ad title. So my
headline or whatever. Yeah, you can call it a headline or a title. Yeah.
Perfect. So I write things like rockstar dental office manager or superstar dental office manager. You always want the word dental, no matter what ad you're placing, and then do something. I've written the best, and it's all caps, the best dental hygienist needed for growing practice.
Ooh, I like that.
Because people, I remember I applied for an ad. The reason I know this works, obviously everybody's just like Kiera Dent, so they're going to apply to the same. Just kidding. But one of my favorite ads, I remember this ad. It stood out to me. It was a superstar for an office, and I applied for that because I was like, I think I'm a superstar. Like, I think I could do it, because already you're getting people to think that's who they are. That's why they're applying for your ad. Like, you've hooked them in with this awesome ad. Otherwise,
and do you really want anybody that has like such a lacking of confidence that they wouldn't apply to that because they don't believe that they're a superstar?
No, definitely not. Move on.
That's like the first filtering mechanism, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I loved it, because also, in addition to that, like, if you look on Craigslist or Indeed, most of them say dental assistant needed or office manager needed. But you're like a dime a dozen there. Nobody remembers you, but the rock star or the superstar or the best or super organized, intentional office manager. Like, I don't care what you choose, but something needs to stick out to that person, because you want them to remember your ad. And then my ads tend to be usually about 3 paragraphs in length. And I know that sounds super lengthy. My first paragraph is like a hook, just like you're writing a paper. So hook them in, Mark, you're a fantastic office up in Prescott. So I'd say growing, super fun, growing dental practice, looking to add in our rockstar treatment coordinator. We work hard, we play hard, we love to get exceptional dentistry, and our patients reward us by giving back. They reward us by referring their friends and family to our practice.
Ooh, that's good.
So in that first paragraph, like, Mark, why did you say that's good? I'll put you on the spot. Like, what felt good to you in that?
No, I mean, I think that would be, that's the right kind of bait. I mean, the wording is so enticing. It paints this picture in my mind's eye.
Exactly.
Of like this warm and welcoming place that's doing good by their patients. So their patients like them. Their patients are referring their friends and family, which has, the implication of trust. And I don't know, it just sounds like a place that I'd want to work.
Right. And I'm trying to attract somebody like Mark Costas to work in my practice. If I just say, like, dental office looking for dental assistant, cool, you're like stuffy gray and like, yuck. That doesn't feel good at all. There's nothing that pulls me in to know what it is. Yeah. And just like Mark said, I write with words that do create a picture, because people go on feelings. How did you feel reading that? It's like, yeah, I want to work there. And the goal in your ad is to get people who really want to work in your practice. So that's usually what I do. And then my second part is always bulleted. So I have bullet points. Mark and I speak in bullet points. I think it's easier. People don't want to read paragraphs, which is why I have bullet points in there. So if they're skimming my ad, it quickly pulls their eye to what I'm looking for. And my bullet points are always what I'm looking for in the candidate. So it's a quick self-assessment of like our ideal candidate would, and then you just list off what they are.
Ooh, yeah, I like that too.
So.
That's kind of that's similar to parts of our operations manual.
Correct.
Where we say an exceptional or our dream office manager would possess the following characteristics.
You got it.
And that's right there in our job description.
That's exactly right.
So you're putting bits and pieces of the job description actually in the recruitment ad as well.
Totally.
That's
because
cool.
it will tie right into when they're hired. It looks exactly like your ad. So you're already getting them in the mindset of what they're doing. So there's a lot behind these ads, as silly as it is. Like, people write real fast ads and just throw it out there. And I'm like, nope. I actually spend the most amount of time on my ads, making them super dreamy. That way I'm hiring the person I actually want. So bullet points, ideal. Write whatever you want. What are you looking for? The other day, Kaylee and I, we had to make a change in the company. And Kaylee was a little frustrated because it was the first time. And she's like, but Kiera, I put a lot of time into this person. And finally I had her stop and we did an exercise together where I said, okay, if there was no name attached to this person, what would be the characteristics you'd want for the position we're hiring for?
Yeah.
And Kaylee listed off 15 traits. Well, the person we had, Kaylee went through and graded them. And the reality was they had like 2 of the 15 traits.
Oh, that's not good.
Not good. So then what we did was our next ad, we took those 15 traits. I'm not kidding. I wrote all 15 of them in the ad and put our ideal candidate. And I was like, no babysitting. Better be self-motivated. Be intentional. Like, remember how we don't want to babysit? We're looking for an intentional person. And at the end of my ad, I actually wrote like, this might feel like a lot, but we know if you're the right person, this is going to speak straight to you. And that's the person we actually want. And I wrote that in my ad because, and you'll be shocked, the people that we have are no joke, Mark. We just hired 2 of them because 2 people came in that were so exceptional and they have every single attribute that we listed on that ad.
Oh, that's cool.
And I could tell because I have a weeding process in my 3rd paragraph. And it says, after I write what they should be, I say, if this sounds like the dream job for you, please reply with, and I have 3 more bullet points right here, your resume, your compensation requirements, and I don't care what you choose on this one. Your favorite ice cream flavor, your...
I like this. Yeah.
This is always my favorite.
Your favorite pizza topping.
Yep. If you prefer burgers or Mexican, like, I don't care what you choose. And I say, and put that in your subject line, because right there, and I picked that up from Darren Flesher. Shout out to him. He gave me that great idea to have them put that, whatever it is, favorite candy, favorite ice cream in the subject line, because then you quickly can sort all your resumes and see exactly who was that intentional team player and who just dumped their resume into your inbox that you now have to sort through.
Totally. I like that. Okay. So we have the ad out there. So we've dangled the bait. So the bait's in the water.
Bait's in the water.
On a good lure and a good hook. What's next? What's
next is you now start reviewing your resumes as they come in.
You have a stack of applications, and then the applications that look good, then you reach out to them, and then
as long as they don't have a picture, Mark. No picture.
This is funny. Yeah, this is a little insight that you gave me. You have like 100% record for staff people, employees, team members that you've hired, based on whether or not they had a picture on their resume.
True story.
So 100% of the people that had a picture on their resume have not worked out for you.
They have not. I don't know if it was just
so is that
weird fluke?
Is that anecdotal, fluky evidence, Kiera Dent, or is that scientific?
I'm not sure. I have no idea. All I know is if there is a picture on a resume, I steer clear. I don't even call that person. So if that's anything, if any of you listening have your picture on there,
hilarious.
Mark was like, I better take my picture off my CV. Like,
I never had my picture on my CV.
See, no. I think it might come back from, like, here's another side note. I did used to model back in college, and all the recruiters for modeling require like a headshot because they're looking obviously for models.
So you're like anti.
That might be where it is, because it was like, gosh, like, you just want to hire me off of my face, or maybe you like freckles or don't. Like, you might really like me in person.
Well, when you're a model, it's kind of important.
It is kind of important. You got to have the right look. So maybe that's what it comes from. But I've just found every person who's ever had a picture on their resume has been
That's hilarious.
Bat crazy. We'll just say it's been weird. So
Bat-S crazy.
Bat-S crazy, Mark.
Okay, so all right, so we're sifting through. We make our selections. What's the vetting process look like after that? So you do a phone interview first?
I do. Yep. And
okay.
I'm pretty. I think depending upon what part of the country you're in, sometimes you get a lot of resumes. Be picky on those. Like, we got probably for a personal assistant ad, we had over 65 applicants. I went through who has ice cream flavor in their subject line. If you don't have it, I'm deleting you. I'm not taking the time. I don't care if you're the best person out there. You clearly are not the person I'm looking for.
You didn't follow the directions.
Just delete them. If you're in a smaller area, I have definitely looked at some resumes, but I will ask the person like, hey, I asked for this in my ad. Please let me know why I should call you. Like, I'm pretty direct, but also that's my style of leadership. I don't like to beat around the bush and I don't want to have drama. So let's just cut to the chase. We're either going to work or we're not. So then when I do call them, I do have a form that we're going to share at Summit with people. And we do have a whole hiring course that has all these forms in it. So if anybody wants all this, don't worry, it's out there. But there's a actual form that I follow when I call. And the first things I do when I call is I cut right to the chase. Like, I don't like to waste my time on an interview.
How long's the initial phone call kind of screening interview?
I have the other day I interviewed a possible consultant and I had them on and off the phone in 3 minutes.
Ooh, dang, girl. You're like, snap, I'm out.
Nope, it's not going to work out. I know it. So,
oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, well, the first thing she said is she missed working in an office with a patient base. And I was like, so I definitely don't think I'm going to offer the dream job. And she went to talk and I was like, but thanks so much for applying and I hope you have a great day. And
Boom.
It was done.
Click.
So I got a lot of text messages after that, but
from her, mean ones, mad ones.
No. Just like, oh well, I actually think I want to do consulting, and I was like, you missed the ad, sweetheart. So, but I feel like I'm real big. So if a person sends you a resume, I don't wait, and because usually when people are applying, they're on the computer, so they're probably available. So that's what I do. If possible, I try to, and I actually text a lot of people. Texting, I believe, is socially acceptable in most places. So I text. So if an applicant sends in, I'll write back, I'm like, hey, it's Kiera Dent. You just applied for my consulting position. I'd love to chat with you. Do you have time to chat maybe tomorrow? Or, and I just set up an interview right then and there if I like them, because I know that they're probably available because they've just applied. So I'll either call or I'll send a text, set up a time, and I always have that person call me if possible. It's a weeding process. If they don't call, they're not interested. They aren't intentional. I don't want them. But then on the phone, I go through the first things I talk about are like, hey, you know what? I don't want to waste your time. I want to make sure that we're talking on the same page. Let's just talk about the hours of the office. Let's talk about the location from where you are. Do these things fit with you? Yes or no? Yep, they're great. Beautiful. Okay, now let's talk about pay. I want to make sure we're in the same ballpark. What are you looking for pay? I want to make sure I don't waste your time if you're out of my league. They'll say, I'm looking for $23 an hour. Perfect. That's great. That works right in line with what we're offering. Now I can move on. If they're out of your league, like, tell them thank you so much. Like, you think they're super qualified, and move on. Because when you try to negotiate pay or hours, or you start offering all these deals from the get-go, like, you're setting a precedence that you'll bend over backwards. That doesn't mean always. There's obviously exceptions to every one of these rules.
You're kind of setting the tone for the relationship.
Totally.
Yeah.
So that's my initial phone screening process. And then if I like them, they qualify, everything's good. At the end of my call, I ask them to text me 2 references and let the references know I'll be calling. I've been burned way too many times. And I think you have too, Mark, of not checking our references.
Yes, I've been bad about that one. Yes. Getting all excited about somebody not looking into some sort of a background check and not doing reference check has bit me more than anything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because
guess what? Everybody's going to be on their best behavior during an interview.
Always.
You're not getting a true slice of who this person is. You need a grander scale of context.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't ever do reference checks of friends. I think those are ridiculous and a waste of everyone's time, because friends are most likely going to speak pretty nicely about the person.
Yeah.
But, and I'm not hiring a friend, I'm hiring an employee. So I want to talk to an employer. I might sound callous. I hope I come across not calloused. I just have found that interviewing and hiring can take a ton of your time, but it doesn't have to if you kind of have some set processes and things you're looking for. The reality is, the goal of hiring is to find your dream applicant and not to waste your time with B or C team candidates for your team. You're looking for that A, so let's go for the A.
For sure. Okay, so we get them in. We did a background check. We checked their references. Time to pull the trigger. We like this person a lot. We hire them. And then what does that look like from the hiring, from a brand new team member's perspective? What are they going to go through?
The brand new team member is you and I, Mark. I never did this when I originally was working in an office, but I've implemented it in plenty of practices, and I wish with all my heart I would have done this. But we created the 30, 60, 90-day scorecard.
Yes.
So we pull it straight from the ops manual of this is your job description, this is what you're doing, and we literally map out exactly in 30 days, this is what we expect of you. In 60 days, this is what we expect. And in 90 days. And it is awesome. And so as soon as they're hired, I preset those interviews of when I'll be meeting with them at the 30, 60, 90. That way they know it's set. There's good feedback time. I was in Jason Tenori's office up in Canandaigua, New York, and they have a really cool process when they hire. They do a 3-3-3, and it's 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months are when they check in. And so I don't care what your process is, but I really did like the 3 days checking in with the new hire. 3 weeks is a great time as well. That's pretty much your 30 day. I would throw a 60 day in and then a 90 day. But really it's like maybe, 20 items that this person needs to master in that first 30 days to get them up to speed. And also you're tracking them because we implemented this. I don't know, Mark, back to your days of hiring in the practice, like how many times do you get to that 90-day interview and it's like, oh shoot, I've got to give them a raise. I don't even know if they know how to do their job yet. It like creeps up on you. They haven't gotten any feedback. That employee doesn't know, am I doing well? Am I not doing well? Like, am I hitting the benchmarks? Am I missing it? And I feel if you're proactive in coaching them and training them and assessing them from day one, you're setting the course that this is how we work in our practice, and we want to give you the feedback because we want you here for the long run. We don't want to wait till 90 days and then tell you like, you're out of here. Like, sorry, it wouldn't work with no feedback to where you could have improved in all those 3 months that they were there for you.
Yeah, I really love that whole idea of setting the expectations, make it crystal clear what your expectations are, defining success like to the letter. Like, this is exactly what success looks like in my mind. Let's get there as soon as we can. Defining the expectations, giving them some meetable and achievable goals, and as a leader, making sure that we're keeping track of their progress or lack thereof.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So,
I was just going to throw in an idea right now,
yes,
Mark,
please.
I wanted to point out, so for a lot of team members, you can set it. For office managers, I set bigger goals. I don't have it as minutia as I would maybe for a scheduler or a dental assistant. But Mark, you and I just came up with this great idea. Literally, this is how Mark and I evolve, is we'll chat on the phone and spitball back and forth different ideas. But you're hiring a really impressive position. And as we were talking and you were asking me to help you make 30, 60, 90s for a regional, we realized why don't we have that regional create their own 30, 60, 90 days of what they think that they'll accomplish in that 30, 60, 90. Mm-hmm. And the reason we suggested this idea was because for some of those higher positions, maybe it's associates, maybe it's regional managers, some of those really prominent positions that you need a strong leader in, I like them to create their own 30, 60, 90 because that gives you a clear idea of what that person's already thinking about, what they're going to be focused on the entire time they're working with you. And you then can mold them, but yet you get to see a real clear picture into their main points that they're focused on. And I think it just helps you a lot in the vetting process at the beginning, and you're creating them into a leader right from the beginning instead of the reverse. Yeah,
I think that's a really, really good idea as well. I'm glad we came up with it. So I've already used it. I mean, we are in the process of vetting a potential regional right now. And because of your idea, Kiera, we are going to give him an idea of what our expectations are at the 30-day mark, at the 60-day mark, and at the 90-day mark. We're going to have a starting salary. If he meets all of those expectations, he will be a hire. We will actually increase the amount of money that he's making. So he has a trial period salary. And then after that, he will get bumped up in salary. But also we're going to create some incentive programs for him to get his potential revenue up even more, his take-home income. But yeah, I just think that's just a great way to do it. Have them help. So, say for instance, I want to increase the number of reviews that come in. I want to increase revenue. I want to decrease overhead, especially in my variable expenses. What is your plan? What is your plan to do that in 30? What is your plan to do that in 60? What is your plan to do that in 90? So he's actually coming to us with a proposal on how he's going to do his job.
That sounds so dreamy.
Based on our expectations, right?
Isn't that
cool? I love that. So I'm really super excited. And he actually sent us a fairly good summary of his ideas. He called it a business plan, which I love.
Yep.
Just that right there him being proactive enough to say, okay, here's my business plan. This is what you want. Here's how I'm going to do it. And I will adjust if these ideas don't work. But getting them to think outside the box and think growth minded, before they're even hired. Oh man, that is setting the tone, is it not?
It sets the tone so well. And I feel like if you can do this, like leaders are always asking, like, how can I make my life easier? How can I delegate things off my plate? I firmly believe, and this came from a fantastic dentist who coached me and said, gave me some real good advice that just stuck to me. And he said, Kiera, be proactive in your life and not reactive. Mm-hmm. And I feel like in hiring, in doing these things, you're being proactive. You're actually making your life so much easier, and you're making their lives easier too. They're helping create a goal. They know they set those benchmarks on themselves. They're probably going to own that a lot more than they would if they were just told, like, this is what I want. Like, they have to take ownership because they've created it. And it just makes me like so excited to hear it and to think like, if more people could start doing this, talk about a difference in hiring, a difference in work style, a difference in, commitment, and the like actual accountability that you can have within your practice.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we only have 3 minutes left, and this is unfortunate, but we can spend a whole episode on this in the not too distant future. So let's talk about when we decide that it's just not working out. Time to break up.
Yep.
Time to break up, Kiera. Give us some just high level tips on letting somebody go.
Well,
if you've determined, we have all kinds of assessments, self-assessments, we have performance reviews, we have all kinds of stuff, and we make sure that we give somebody that's underperforming the opportunity to, to turn up their performance a little bit, to prove that they're worthy of staying on the team. And if they fall short of those sorts of things, we determine that they're not a good culture fit, they're toxic to the work environment, they're not clinically adept enough to handle the volume or whatever it happens to be. When we decide it's time and this person is not rehabable, they're just not a good fit, give me, say, 3 quick tips on how to let them go.
Okay. I'm pretty confident that if you were able to send a text to hire, you should just text to fire. I mean, I'm just kidding. No, you should definitely, we were just talking about this the other day in a meeting that I had with an office, and they said, well, Kiera, like, we know we're ready to like get rid of this person. And my first question was, have you talked to that person? Have you told them? Have they had an opportunity to improve? Oh,
I know. I'm just going to interrupt you for a second because this one was your idea. This is one of your slides that you put down on our presentation. It should never be a surprise that somebody is getting let go.
Correct.
Because you have led up to this point. You've given them multiple choices. Multiple opportunities to improve their performance. You let them know that their performance wasn't up to snuff in their monthly performance reviews, in their weekly reviews. You've given them every opportunity to improve in certain areas. You've given them like an exact expectation. If they're not meeting it, it should not be a surprise to them at all when you have them come into your office and close the door.
Exactly. And I would love to take credit, but that totally came from Mike Zubiak, one of our favorites. And when he said that, it struck me, and I thought, I've got to start using this because
it should never be a surprise. And
so, you have your monthly evaluations. They're not meeting them. I usually put them on a 30-day probation. I'm like, gosh, like, Mark, I want you here. And that's the only reason I'm having these conversations. If I did not want you here, I wouldn't take the time to even try and coach you there. So we're going to meet every single week. These are the 3 things that I expect to see in 30 days. If I don't see them, you and I both know the exact conversation that will take place. So I want you here. If you want to be here. And I asked him, like, Mark, do you want to be here? Yes or no? Like, you can end it right then. It's real easy. Mm-hmm. If Mark's not up to par, then at the end of it, by that 4th interview that we're having together, he knows very well, all right, Kiera, I didn't make the cut. So I say that. Some people are like, but Kiera, I haven't done this and I know I need to get rid of them. And I say, beautiful, start the month probation right now. Like, pull them in, at least give them an opportunity to improve, because I have had people that I thought, I'm going to just fire them. Like, I cannot stand them. And I pull them in for this probation period. And sure enough, like, the next thing you know, they're my best employee, and all they needed was a little coaching.
It's happened to me at least a handful of times when somebody that was just not cutting it, like when the reality set in that they were not a good match for the team, nobody wanted them there, that they were about to lose their job, they did a complete 180. I've seen it happen many, many times. It's interesting.
It's super interesting. So I don't want to let go somebody who's awesome if I haven't given them the opportunity. But on the flip side, I hear so many leaders like, but I could have done this. I could have done that. Like Kaylee, we were like 3 weeks in and I'm like, okay, if she's only 2 of 15, like it's time to have that discussion. And odds are, I usually tell the person like, hey, I want you to be in your dream job. And if this isn't it, like it can't feel good to come to work every day and not be hitting the benchmarks we're looking for.
Right.
I want you in your dream job and I want to make sure that you're super happy and successful. And that's my number one motive. So I think when you can have that, that's how firing does not have to be messy. It doesn't have to be ugly. Sometimes, yes, immediate fires, if there's serious things going on, embezzlement, things like that are just, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. But the most of it, I think nobody should ever be surprised when they're being fired. And I think if you have that mentality, you're more proactive as a leader. But I usually give a 30-day correction period. And if they can't get it in 30 days, well, I know it's just not the right fit.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
well,
Cutthroat Kiera came to town today.
Boom, look at that. There's a new sheriff in town. Her name is K-Dog Kiera Dent.
That's why Mark had me talk about firing, not him. He didn't want that reputation on him.
Oh, dude. I am the Grim Reaper, man. I have fired more people than I care to admit. And you know what? You know what's funny about that, Kiera? Not funny, because we're talking about people's lives.
Sure.
But you know what's interesting about that is looking back at how I used to lead and looking back at the reasons I used to fire people for, I really believe that I probably let people go that we should have done a better job training up, should have done a better job of onboarding, should have been more clear with our expectations, and we might have had a successful team member there. But I have to take full credit for not being perfect and not having the right processes in place in the past. So. Sure,
absolutely. And I think having, once again, that proactive mindset where you do everything you can to set them up for success at the beginning, making sure they know we check in with you once a month. We expect these things, and it's not a hey, come in, let me slap your hand on the wrist, but it's very much I'm invested in you. The worst thing that can happen to a person is if you are underperforming and they stop caring about you and they don't even bother to have the conversation. That's the worst thing that can happen. The best thing is if they come to you and tell you the areas you can improve, you know they're still invested in you, and that's why they're talking to you.
For sure. Good stuff, Kiera. What a great episode from the freeway here.
Thank you.
We are now in Louisville. So check that out, guys. You guys traveled with us from Lexington, Kentucky to Louisville, Kentucky. We are actually on the 294 westbound Waterston Expressway, and we are just minutes away from the airport. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Mark. It was super fun, as always.
Always fun. K-Dog, DJ, Skittles in the house.
That's next time, guys. Get ready for it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kiera Dent.
And that wraps it up for another episode of the Dental A Team podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.